Hey, you two, Brian LCS, and welcome to another Comic Book Community 411. And my special guest is the Comic Bookworm. Naman, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, doing fine, doing fine.
All right, good. Well, before we get into the questions, why don't you just kind of tell everybody who doesn't know you, a little bit about yourself and your channel.
Come on, who doesn't know me? uh, uh, I call myself a nom man. It's a nickname, and I run a channel called A Comic Bookworm. The name came out because I thought of myself as a bookworm, and then when I transitioned to comic book collecting, I said, you know what? Maybe I should call myself a comic bookworm. And also, it's a good idea to be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Your channel name reflects what you do. So that's what I named. I do a lot of things before then. I run different YouTube channels, and I used to run a channel called Drama Jack of All, Master of None, and I did everything. And I decided that I'm going to just split it into a whole bunch of different channels, and each channel does one thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how I came out with the comic book one. So that's my sort of origin story for the channel. Uh, Anything else? Should I reveal?
No. Well, why don't we jump into the questions and we'll see what we don't get answered, and then maybe we can circle back. But
Okay.
so why don't you tell everybody how you got? Because I don't think I know it. How did you first? No, I think I do know it. So how did you first get into comic book collecting?
Um, yeah, I've been reading books and comic books since I was a little boy. And in Korea, we can collect comic books like United States. Oh, in Korea, you go to if you want to read comic books, you had to go to this little back. I mean, back in my days, anyway. Back in '70s, early '70s. Like I had to go to like a little store, and they would have all kind of selection of comic books, and you borrow time on it, and then you just read. And also, it was a very frowned on. If you're a good student and you listen to your mom and dad, you don't go to these little comic book stores and read comic books and spend all your weekends there. but that's what I did. To escape from my parents, I went to because I don't want to get caught. I went to different neighborhood. I mean, I walked miles to different neighborhood, went to their comic stores. But anyway, I used to read a lot. I used to even comic book and regular books. So my parents forgave me for reading comic books. But when I came to the United States, my language changed on me. And so I stopped reading. I stopped. My reading habit just went to zero. Then I found out about not, too long after staying in Oklahoma. That's where we first, settled at Oklahoma. We first landed in New York. Then 6 months later went to Oklahoma, and I found out about comic books from this store called You Totem, and then realized, wow, I could change the pop bottles for a comic book. That's what I found out. I'm going, this is amazing country. I could have my own comic books, and so that's when my comic book started. And my excuse for my parents at the time was, I can't read, but I'm able to, I'm willing to learn to read using these comic books. And they say, okay, so I got an approval from my parents as well. So,
A good excuse, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a really good excuse. Although I just looked at the picture when I was first got those comic books, I just looked at the picture. Only thing that I recognize is a wow, kapow, whatever, the
Yeah.
you see from Batman's, what is that Batman action?
Right. Right. Yeah. The actions. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, did you start actually then collecting books and keeping books?
Yeah, yeah, that's when I started keeping and collecting books. I used to collect stamps when in Korea. And when I was even in New York, I was able to collect stamps with my fellow students because we were, everybody was collecting stamps, and it was very sociable event. Changing stamps and stuff.
Okay,
Trading
trading and
stamps.
things. Yeah.
But when I came to Oklahoma, stamp collecting stopped because no one collected stamps.
Huh.
So then I found out about comic book, and I found out that people trade comic books.
Okay.
So that's when I said, "Oh wow, comic book is fun." So I started collecting comic books, and make trades with friends and stuff. So that's how I grew my collection.
So, okay, so that's pretty interesting. That's I knew I've heard you tell the story about using comic books as a reading tool early on, but didn't know that's exactly how you started collecting. So,
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing that you could have your own comic book. That concept
right,
was not available to me prior to 1974. And when I came to the United States, you could have your own Superman comic book. So that's my very first comic book that I bought was those Superman comic books.
so the United States lived up to its reputation, right, of being yeah.
I mean, the Superman was the only comic book that I knew. Batman, Superman, I guess the Spider-Man on the periphery, but Superman and Batman was well known even in Korea.
Right.
So when I came to the United States, that's what I picked up. Is
Okay.
wow, you could have your own Superman. So
longer history too, right? They were around. They've been around for 20 years or so prior to Spider-Man. So
yeah, and Spider-Man. I mean, you see him, but it wasn't something that was popular as a Superman. And
right.
even in Korea, there were stories with news articles about these kids putting their cape on and jumping off the building and dying and stuff. I mean, that kind of stories are available, but not many stories about webbing through the buildings and dying. but yeah, the Superman was well known. Batman was well known. Mighty Mouse, Mickey Mouse, those things were well known in Korea, but not Spider-Man. I'm mentioning this because I know you're a Spider-Man fan.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So did you now have you always collected since you were a kid, or did you have, like most of us, have a break at some point and then came back?
I definitely had a break. I mean, when graduating from high school, I no longer had that excuse. I mean, by this time I could read and stuff, and I no longer have that excuse to use my money to purchase comic books. Also, I was more interested in collecting money for my car and stuff.
Yeah.
So I stopped collecting comic book when senior in high school. I did got into the heavy metal magazines. Honestly, those were like my version of pornography at the time. But I didn't get. Yeah, I stopped completely from. I think I acquired about 300 to 500 comic books by the time I stopped, and I've been carrying that around since I was a little kid, from house to house. Yeah, but yeah, so I didn't. I mean, I stopped collecting, but I did. I didn't want to throw those away. I didn't.
Right. You still had you weren't actively collecting, but you still had the books that you had.
Yeah. So I had to do a lot of arguing with my mom. Later on, when my wife, why are you carrying those boxes?
Right. No, I've had a similar story. I've been lugging around a couple long boxes for 30 years, 40 years. That I've had. I had them, in the basement, in the attic, collecting dust, and only recently did I start to get back into it, and then started going through them. And my wife was the same way. Like, why don't you get rid of them? Why do we have them?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I didn't even have long boxes and stuff. I just, whatever box I could find, whatever bags I could find, I put like 10, 20 comic books at a time in a bag and stuff. There was no bag and boarding when I was collecting. So
right. Right.
So my books are not in good shape, but I'm just proud that I was able to carry it along. Over 40 years, I've been carrying my original collection.
Yeah, you were able to persevere and carry and keep them for all that time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I
So
didn't
how
start.
did you So how did you make the leap then to say, all right, and once you got back into collecting, saying, okay, now I want to start a YouTube channel? And I know you have other YouTube channels. So did it start with other subjects and then at some point turn into a comic book channel?
Yeah, actually, I did make some YouTube videos regarding based on comic books before, way before pandemic, and so I don't think I'm one of those pandemic collector or
Okay.
book collector, yeah, but because I've been doing that before, and one of the things I never gave up doing was checking my comic books and see if their value went up. Like for instance, when X-Men, the first X-Men movie came out, I would like look up like X-Men, my 100 issue, 101 issues. I will open them up and say, see if a value went up. I'll try to occasionally get out those price guide things.
Right.
See if a value went up, and I go, oh, no value went up. X-Men movie came out, and my X-Men are not still not worth anything. So that's what that was one way I lost the X-Men 101. The Phoenix one, the
Okay.
Phoenix Rises. Yeah, I opened it up. I go, oh, it's not worth anything, and I left it on the desk instead of putting it back into my regular storage, and it just disappeared one day.
Oh,
Until my wife cleaned it up. So, uh, so those are the way I lost things. Because I would occasionally, you know, pick at it and see if they would make a movie that based on that comic book. For instance, I wanted the X-Men, the Phoenix story. I wanted that Phoenix story,
right.
and so, oh, come on, guys, make a Phoenix story, and they make a Phoenix story and it's no good. But I've been, whenever they make Superman movies, I will bring out Superman movie, comic books, and hoping that they will make stories regarding one of my comic book.
Right.
But yeah, I did that all that stuff that you call. I don't know. You call it? Is that a speculating? I don't.
Well, yeah, I guess it is. I guess, but that's probably like early because that's interesting that you say that because I don't and I wasn't collecting at the time when some of the first X-Men movies came out. So I don't know if those early movies had the same impact as, the movies or Disney Plus shows have today because
Yeah,
there's so much.
I remember it did not have impact. I look at it and go, no, the price didn't change any.
Yeah, because you think of the hype around Wolverine in the X-Men movies, um, how well it was portrayed. Um, and even he had he had a couple solo movies, so you would think if anybody got a bump in value it might have been the Wolverine series, but I don't, like I said, I wasn't collecting at the time, but I don't think those early movies had the same, like obviously She-Hulk comes out, and everybody's talking about She-Hulk books and speculating on the Wrecking Crew and some things around the She-Hulk series. So
They might had a slight increase, but nothing that I would be going, wow,
right, right,
not until the pandemic. Not until the pandemic that I go, oh man, I had that issue 101, my Phoenix issue 101. That's worth the perfect condition is worth $5,000 or $2,000 or whatever, and
right.
nothing like that. Maybe $10, $20, but nothing like that kind of leap in any of my collection. But I mean, the Star Wars #1 I used to have. All these comic books. Some of the for instance, I didn't know about first appearances, right?
Okay.
So like first appearance of the what's the Wolverine's Sabretooth. First appearance of
Oh,
Sabretooth
right. Okay.
fighting the Iron Fist. I mean, I have that. I never knew that was going to be worth that much. Like a first appearance of Mystique. I have it, but I didn't know that was going to be worth that much.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have kept it nicer.
Right. Right. Yeah. So on any on do you regularly produce content on any of your other YouTube channels, or is A Comic Bookworm the main channel?
right now, Comic Bookworm is the channel that I'm producing most content on. I want to go back to producing more content on other channels, uh, but I'm waiting for my room to get finished. I'm building like a art station and the uh, different place to film myself because I'm building different background for different channels. Like if I'm doing the vinyl record uh, videos, I want to set up. I'm setting up a vinyl record area,
Okay.
comic book area, and so on. So
So you're going to use the one room, but have kind of different setups based on the channel.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing, and I'm trying to better organize my comic books. So,
Yeah, that's an ongoing battle. That always that's
yeah.
always a challenge.
So, yeah.
So the next question I have for you is, what a character? If you had creative control over a character, if you could, reboot a character or rewrite a character, who would you tackle?
Hmm. Well, can I answer in forms of like, I want to see movie on this one kind of thing?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. I would love to see movies on either Commandy or the Warlords. The Warlord, not Warlord, the Warlord. I don't know if you're familiar with either of those titles.
I'm familiar with the Warlord. Yeah.
The Warlord, the Middle Earth thing.
Yes.
I love that concept. You could build a whole universe using that Middle Earth, Middle Earth. Warlord had elements of technology, sword and sorcery. So it had elements of sci-fi, elements of sword and sorcery stuff. So I would love to have that whole new universe built up on Warlord. I mean, Warlord is the only one that's carrying that that universe. But yeah, I think I was really excited when I saw Aquaman.
Okay.
They actually delved into I think Aquaman 2, right? They made Aquaman 2, right?
It's not out yet, right? It's in.
It's in first Aquaman movie, right?
Right. Right.
First Aquaman movie, they show what's her name, the Aquaman's mother trapped in that little place.
Yes, in another realm, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, that they had dinosaurs and they had all these creatures, undersea creatures. Well,
Right.
those creatures, undersea creatures especially, are in the Warlord.
Oh,
And
okay.
that little dinosaur area could be the Middle Earth. That whole area could be the Middle Earth that
Okay.
Warlord represented. So to me that was a sneak peek into the Warlord universe. So
Okay.
I would love to see the Warlord being revived and people tackle that on a more so that they could become more cinema ready. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we certainly have the ability, right, with special effects today. And I mean, you look at when you mentioned that, I think of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, right?
Right.
That being able to create, that army and all of the different creatures, and do it really well. That's what I thought of initially when you mentioned that.
Yeah, Mike Grill was always asked. He's the original writer and artist for the comic book, and he was always asked to do a map of the in the Middle Earth.
Okay.
He refused to make a map because he wanted everyone to imagine that being really humongous,
Okay. Vast. Yeah. Yeah.
vast. And if you put a map to it, then you are sort of limiting
Right. You're putting boundaries on it, right? Yeah.
boundaries on it. So he wanted people to just imagine huge, just another whole world that's going on in there. And yeah, I just love that, that we have another universe or another world, just right underneath our feet,
Right. Right.
So
Yeah,
and
that sounds interesting. Yeah, and like I said, I think they could certainly pull it off today with, the quality of special effects.
yeah,
That would be interesting to see.
and the magic and the sci-fi, I mean, all the science and all that
Right.
still is applicable down there. Magics are still down there. So,
Yeah, you're combining a bunch of different, elements. Yeah, that would be good.
so yeah, I would like to see that.
All right. So your next question I have is what is your biggest complaint or dislike uh, with comic book collecting and or within the collecting community on YouTube? If you had one thing that you don't really care for, what is
Oh boy. Okay.
it?
Okay. I don't know if I'm not one of those people that says that we shouldn't speculate. I mean, I think we need both speculators and the collectors. I mean, if I look at the one extreme, you do nothing but speculation, and another extreme is you do nothing but collect. And I think most of us are somewhere in between, right?
Right.
Most of us are somewhere in between, and that's what makes the community. I think that's what makes the community grow and then be active and stuff, right? That you got to have that interest in your comic book being worth something someday. That element has to always be there, and then you got to have that collector's mentality. Hey, I'm collecting this because of nostalgia and whatnot, right? But if you just look at the speculation community and without any collectors, and all you're doing is hype and pumping, right? All you're doing is hype.
Right.
If that's all you got, all you're doing is hyping and pumping, and the one who loses out is the one who into the last, right? On that hype and pump train, it's essentially it's a hyperized pyramid scheme, right?
Right. Right. That's what exactly I was going to think. Like a multi-level marketing, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't want to be the last guy.
you don't want to be the last guy. You don't want to be the last guy holding the potato, right? The hot potato. But and then another extreme is all you do is collecting, and then it's essentially just hoarding, right? I mean, how you gonna let's say, hey, I have a Superman issue number one, action Superman issue number one. You got Spider-Man issue number one. Hey, you want to make a direct trade?
Right.
How we do this? How we without the market being there and placing value on these things? How do we go and be fair traders and fair collector? So this monetizing our collection is good and all, but if you just look at one extreme, it just doesn't work, right? But on certain things, I think we're just too much leaning to the one extreme. For instance, the acetate thing.
Acetate. Yeah. The recent cover.
Acetate.
Right. Right.
I mean, how many people really are eager to have that comic book and you'll never let it go because that's what you want?
Right.
How many people are collectors in that little group? Right? I mean,
Yeah. It's probably a very small group, right?
very small group of people. Hey, I really wanted that, and I'm willing to pay $100 for it or whatever, right? How many of us are like that? Hey, because they put this little plastic cover on it and put extra staples on it. Oh, I wanted that. This is a con exclusive. I want it. Yeah, I'm willing to pay $100 for it, whatever. How many people are like that? Most people, I think, who are buying these are saying, "Hey, that's con exclusive. I could flip that," right?
Right.
And so if that's where you are, then that's the aspect I don't like, is when everybody's just in that area, and we don't have the balance. We don't
Right.
have a
Right. You
collector.
need everything, right? You need the extremes, and then you need the group in the middle that does a little bit of both, right? Because
Right.
if you only have the speculators, then it kind of falls apart. And if you
And,
only have the
and basically, you
collectors,
don't want to be the guy with the hot
right,
potato at the end. So,
right. No, it
so
makes sense, and I agree with you. I think the one thing that I was kind of fascinated about with the whole C2E2 and that book was we've always had a secondary market, but I think it was just so many people didn't know what this book was and what the potential was that there was a little bit of FOMO around it, and then it kind of really shined a light on the people who are on that really far extreme of flipping and speculating, where they were buying so many thinking they could, like you said, turn around and make quick money with it or flip it very quickly. And I think that just kind of shined a light on that there are people out there that just do this as a business, as a money making thing, which is okay. But agree, I think we need to have that. We need to have that balance, or else it really kind of it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, if you go one extreme to another and just stay within that extreme, I don't think neither will work. You got to have the everybody has to be somewhere in the middle
Right.
to our collection, to make any sense. I mean, it's I don't think if my comic book don't go up in value at all, not even $1, $2, and 20 years later. I mean, that's I don't know if I would enjoy that. I mean, why not just read the digital copies?
Right. Right. No, I agree. I don't consider myself a speculator, but I collect books that I like, that I enjoy to read. But my goal is that eventually, in 10 years from now, that the collection will be worth more than it was, 10 years ago. So, that there is some increase. And I might, by collecting just what I like, I could maybe, get a book or two or three or four that really go up in value because there's a first appearance or some big event. Um, but I don't collect just with that in mind, where I have to buy books that only collect books that I think will go up in value, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying one is bad or
Right.
not bad, but I just think when there's not a balance, that it could really look bad, and
Right.
the people could get hurt, and just yeah, that's the aspect that I don't like about it, is when there's no balance there. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And I think that that whole C2E2 thing was a little bit of shining the light on maybe that, when there is only 750 copies of a particular book, that's when maybe that balance gets out of whack. Or, as a collector, you want a fair shot at obtaining that book compared to, whatever you want to call them, influencer, flippers, sellers, whatever whatever label you want. So I think that was the thing that really kind of stirred people up, was that your collector that was waiting in line felt like he didn't have a fair shot over some other people within the same community. And I think that's what really kind of ruffled everybody's feathers. So
Yeah, I mean, that's it's like, but how many of those people who are ruffled are really collectors?
right. Right. They could be smaller, sellers or flippers. But the funny thing is, like, when you look at that book that everybody got, so crazy about, it's a reprint of a book with an added cover. So really, in my mind, I don't really think that I would much rather own Ultimate Fallout for the original
Right.
than, or, a second printing of it than, that con
I mean,
exclusive.
if I had a choice, like I'm buying 20 of these comic books, right? That's what, $2,000, right? About.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I would try to see if I could give me original for that much.
Right. 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 Maybe buy those to sell those to fund. Yeah. The original. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather buy the original. That to me would be collectible. And maybe the price will go up, and maybe I'm willing to sell it later on. But to me, that's a more genuine collecting. And even if we are speculating, that would be more genuine speculating, rather than, hey, I'm in here just for the money kind of thing.
Right. Right.
So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It'll see how things change. I know Marvel recently, released a statement about, that there's certain guidelines and rules that sellers and creators have to follow for creating a book. Like they can't kind of go off on their own and modify a book or create covers without Marvel's approval. So I thought that was interesting. They didn't. So I don't think they specifically called out that book, but they just kind of said generally, just a reminder. Here's our guidelines.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like people who, for instance, make variant covers. I don't know if they deal with all the legality concerning the intellectual property of those items. The people,
Right.
let's say you're drawing Spider-Man. Have you and you are a variant artist, who creates variant arts for a company, let's say even Midtown Comics, right? Let's say Midtown Comic, right?
Right.
And you are an artist and you want to create an art for that. Have you really worked out with the Marvel? Hey, can I use your Spider-Man character and draw it here? I know it's my own creation of this Spider-Man. I'm redrawing this Spider-Man for this particular company, but have we worked out all the deals
Right.
between us? Most of them have not. So
Yeah.
so so if it's a big money, Marvel will come after you. I'm sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure those things are not in their radar.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, and I heard somebody say it, and I saw some stuff on Instagram. It's like, look, we're collecting comic books, so we can't get too crazy about people buying and selling, and nobody got hurt, during the event. It wasn't like, there was, there's a lot of real life stuff that's happening, that's much bigger than people flipping and selling comic books. So it was just, it's a good reminder because there was a lot of strong opinions about the whole situation. It's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, right, it's just we're talking comic books, so it was
Yeah, it's
kind of
comic book.
right.
Like circumstance says, it's just comic book.
Right, it was kind of silly. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So
It's not nothing to get emotional about. It definitely isn't.
right.
Yeah.
All right, so you got through my first four questions that I ask all of the guests, and so the next two are going to be random. And I had one random question. The first random question is something that I come up with, and then I have a list. The final question will be from a list.
Okay.
My first question was going to be more about, or my random question was going to be about your other channels, but I think we've covered that a little bit. What I want to ask you is your drawing, your art. I've seen some of your artwork, and it's amazing. What do you plan to incorporate more of that in the future, or doing more original work, or tell me a little bit about your drawing and your art.
Yeah, I thought about creating a channel just for art, right, and just draw a day, kind of stuff. I like drawing. By no means, I don't think I'm a professional artist. Yeah, I'm willing to just draw something and give it away if somebody's willing to take it. But yeah, I like to do more on that. Maybe, but I found that comic book channel is a very accepting of my art, because it's a lot of my art is related to comic books, right?
Right.
So, like I say, I'm building a little table, art station table, where I could have art cam up there and draw and stuff, and I thought about doing that, but I think I could create just content for my comic book channel, just drawing.
Oh yeah,
just drawing some stuff, speed drawing, or maybe even,
like a time lapse. Yeah, I've seen Hidden Gem does that, where he does some of his drawing, and he does it as a time lapse, which is really interesting to see.
I could do like drawing while I'm talking, and just I like those guys. I think those guys does where they draw while they're talking online.
Right.
I forgot the name of he's on Cover Slinger. I forgot. Bearded dude.
Oh, I'm not sure if I know. I mean, I know
Roscoe.
Oh, Roscoe. Yeah.
Yeah. So he and several of his art guys who like to draw. They draw stuff, and at the end of the talk, they show what they drawn. Maybe do something like that. With them, or on my own. Comic Journey and I talked about where we could just draw a comic book for the community.
Okay.
And build draw like a little maybe anthology or something where a whole bunch of us writers and artists can get together within the comic book community and draw something. So those kind of things has been we've been brainstorming.
Okay.
Whenever we get the chance. So.
And Comic Journey's very, very talented as well. That was kind of a hidden, talent that, he was doodling one day and realized, wow, he's pretty good too. So.
Yeah. So that's something that's we're brainstorming. I'm still in the brainstorming stage.
Okay.
But as far as my art is concerned, I'd like to do more. But this is really slow.
Yeah, no, I understand. There's always something else to do, right? There's to-do list and work and everything else, right? Kind of.
Yeah, I'm still working. I'm still full-time working. So
yeah.
So that's how to do all those different things at once.
Yes.
If I have to rely on my art, then I'll probably do more. But thank goodness I don't have to.
Yeah, if it was paying the bills, right? It might be a higher priority.
Yeah.
All right. So that was my random question. Now I'm going to go to my list of 50 questions, and I'm going to ask you to just give me a number 1 through 50, and wherever we land, that'll be your final question.
I don't remember why, but I got to remember number 25. I got to remember now. So I don't say number 25. Because I remember someone asked that question. Someone choose that number, and I like the question. But
okay.
I forgot what it was.
I remember who it was. It was Tylex the Mighty who landed on 25.
Okay.
And the question is, what's your game plan in the zombie apocalypse?
Oh. Okay. Okay. What is my game plan on the zombie apocalypse? Well, my game plan. I remember this now. I remember why I like it because when I used to serve at church. I used to teach, like 7th graders and 8th graders and 9th graders, and we go on a trip, and I would tell them about, it was hard for me to teach them Bible because I was learning the Bible myself, right?
Okay.
So I found out that Bible had actually when Christ was reborn, came back to the town. There's a writing in there where these people come out of the graves.
Okay.
And and they meet their families and stuff, and so I was telling the kids, hey, the Bible story has a zombie story, and everybody went, "What? There's zombie stories in Bible?" So we'll talk about zombies. I told them, hey, you read the scripture, you see this, and they go, yeah, that's zombie. And so we're the whole bus trip was how we survived the zombie apocalypse on the whole bus trip. So that's that's how you got to enjoy the different story with the kids. So, yeah, that's why that number 25 was very.
That's funny, and that's probably a good way to keep young adults interested in the Bible is if you can tie into the zombie, storyline.
Yeah. So anyway, one of the things that we discussed was that you definitely want to go to like a you definitely want to go to like a Midwest, right? Okay. Like Oklahoma, Kansas,
yeah, rural
place,
more open,
yeah. You definitely want to go there. You want to be able to break into a house, in a farm somewhere, because that's where the gun's going to be. Because that's where all the shotguns going to be, and that's where all the canned food is going to be, and that prepares you to survive, and so those are the things that where you definitely want to go to Midwest, and you want to drive bike or motorcycle, that requires the least amount of gas, and so yeah, so acquiring weapon, food, and transportation, be ready to move. So
Wow.
those are
All
the things
right.
that we thought about. I mean, there's more, but I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, it's amazing to think there's probably a lot of us who've thought of those, like, what would I do if, something really bad happened? I need to have that emergency plan. So,
Yeah, nothing. Why I like that kind of stories is because I don't know if you like Stephen King stories,
yes,
Stephen King books.
I do.
The Stand is one
Okay,
of my
yeah.
favorite books. Stand is one of my favorite book, and that's about pandemic and all that. But you know what? Only 30% of population being left over. Can we recreate the infrastructure that we have now? Kind of
Right.
stuff. So zombie story is more of a when you clean this, you clean the society from everything, and you have to rebuild it. How are you going to rebuild it? That's probably why we like that kind of story, because hey, I want to be able to just rebuild things. Not build on top of this and that and make it work with all the things before it, but just clean slate. Just clean slate and just rebuild everything from the scratch.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably appealing to some people because it's less, maybe less technology, or it's, like you said, a clean slate, but more simpler, right?
Right,
You
right.
not as fast and crazy as life is today.
Yeah. For instance, I could work on old cars, right? With the six bangers, whatever. With the uh, but ask me to work on, even though I'm a computer engineer, if if they ask me to work on a new car with all these computer control systems, I'm not going to be able to work on it.
Right.
But old car with just the cylinders and the little igniters and the gas, and yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Carburetor and
transmission,
yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Those things can be worked on, but
No,
only
I was just talking about it with somebody recently. A headlight went out in my car, and I used to, as a kid, my dad taught me how to change the oil and fix headlights and things like that. And you can't even get to the headlight now. You have to take the, like, most newer cars. You basically need to take the bumper off to be able to get to the headlight. You can't get to it.
really, wow.
Yeah. And so I just take it to the mechanic and have him do it, because I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't, is this so much to take apart and then have to put together again correctly, that I'm like, it's too much. It's too much work.
Yeah, I mean, things I used to work on, I don't work on anymore. I mean, things got a lot complicated, and zombie universe, hey, things got simpler now.
Right.
Everybody can be
food,
useful.
food, shelter, weapon, transportation. That's
Yeah.
all you need. Well, that was a good answer. So I'm glad you remembered that and picked that one.
Yeah, okay. I forgot all about it. All I remember was 25. 25 is what I didn't remember.
Yeah, well, now I'm gonna probably have to mix up some of the questions or even shuffle them. So, because that's what, at some point, when enough people realize numbers, they'll start to just repeat. So
Right, right.
I'm gonna have to shuffle the deck on those questions. So
At least I didn't remember it. At least I didn't
yeah,
remember
right. No, but you had a good answer. So so that's it. You've made it through. You made it through all of the questions. So thank you. And why
Thank
don't you
you.
tell, what do you have coming up on your channel, and anything planned? Or I know, one of my favorite, the Meet the Collector series that you do with Otaku is one of my favorites on your channel. So do you have any other, interviews or anything, what's coming up on your channel?
Yeah, I'm trying to schedule some meet the collector people, also some artists, but we're in just scheduling stage right now. I can't seem to get it, one per week. It either happens a whole bunch of them at once, or
Right, right.
it just. I would love to get one per week, but one per week is really hard to do. Trying to plan everybody to, you know, so that's it's going, but it's not going well. Um, I want to mention the my giveaway thing.
Oh,
The
right.
Yeah, I got I'm giving away things by having people do treasure hunt. I mean, shouting out 5 channel at a time. Every video I make, I shout out 5 channel because I want to get to 350, 400. In 50 increments, I want to get to 500. So uh, I want to remind people that, hey, participate in that, because you will. I mean, a lot of giveaway odds are really, really, really good, right? I mean,
Yes.
so many people giving away things, and only 10, maybe maximum 10 to 15 people, getting involved in it. I mean, odds of you winning something in this community I mean, it's tremendous. So,
Yeah, very good odds. Yeah.
if they think about that and being able to win, some $80 package or $50 package, seems like a good incentive. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm getting them to, go to different channels and, trying to activate more channels,
Right.
give them more traffics uh, by, shouting them out, and not just go there, but subscribe, watch the video, comment on it, and so yeah, that's my goal, is to get everybody, have more traffics while I'm doing this, and yeah, just I would appreciate it for people are participating in that hunt. More people are participating, so I don't have just giveaway trolls, winning the prize. I want the people who really comment on these things and watch the videos. I want those people to win. Of course, I don't have the control of that. I don't want. Otherwise, I should just hand it out.
Right, right.
But
And I really like that idea. I mean, because you're really spotlighting the other channels, in within the giveaway. So it's a nice giveaway, but you're also getting, like you said, you're getting views and hopefully subscriptions and eyeballs on other channels, which is a really good idea.
yeah, so yeah. Anyway, I hope more people take on that challenge, and a deserving. I mean, ideally, deserving person will win, but I don't know if I designed the game that way or not. So, but I would like to think that a deserving person would win.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Good. Great. Yeah. So definitely check that out. Links for Naman's channel are in the description. So please go check out his channel if you're not familiar with him. And I also linked his Instagram as well. So you can take a look at. I know you have posted some of your artwork on your Instagram
Oh yeah,
account.
yeah.
So,
Instagram is my Namen the Drawman basically channel.
right. So
That's where
yeah.
I
So definitely go check that out and check out some of
appreciate
Naman's
that.
artwork. I was really impressed because I didn't realize that you like to draw, and then I saw some of the pictures. I should have known, I guess, by the Instagram name, but um, I was really impressed with the artwork. So
I appreciate
yeah,
that.
well
Appreciate
done.
that. Thanks.
No. So, but thanks for coming on. Always great to chat with other community members and get to know them a little bit better. So, I really do appreciate you
Yeah,
coming on.
yeah. I really appreciate this. I mean, I really enjoyed this particular session. Where you get to meet different, collectors. So this it's really good. And I really like how you set it up to 411. It's very organized, and yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate the invite, and I hope a lot of people wanting to come in and do this. That'd be fun. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm trying to reach out, and if anybody's interested, just please let me know. We can get you on. I'm trying to do, one a week. And like you said, yeah, I know scheduling wise, and everybody's busy, so it's tough to try to do that. But, so far so good. And I've only done, I don't know, this is probably maybe my 10th or 11th interview, but, I'd like to continue it and just, continue to meet, more of the community and have on as many people that would like to come on. So, but it was great getting to know you a little bit better and a little bit more about your collecting and your YouTube your YouTube history. So and
Appreciate
your zombie plan.
it. My zombie friend. And people, don't forget, you got the thing coming up, right?
Yeah, yeah, we
The
got the finalist. By the time this airs, the finalists will be announced. So it's go over to the CBC Awards and cbcawards.org and vote for your finalists. So
That's fun
all right,
stuff.
Naaman, thanks very much.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
everybody for watching. We'll
Thanks,
see you
everybody.
soon.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.